We know whose pocket you're in.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. We're going to call the meeting to order, and I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilman Oldman, Councilman Tress, Supervisor St. Lawrence.
Here, I'd like to ask Councilman Ullman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the presentation of the stormwater. Ted, leave the podium the way it is.
Okay.
And just address us. You use the mic right there and address us.
Okay.
And you can set up any things you need to. That's it.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and Town Board. I'm here tonight with Deputy Director of Public Works, Mike Sadowski, and we're glad to be able to report to you and our residents about the town's efforts in complying with the Phase 2 stormwater regulations. The reporting year ran from March 10th of 2015 to March 9th of 2016. The town operates two.
Go ahead, Ted.
The town operates two separate systems: a sanitary sewer system for transporting sewage to the Rockland County Sewer District for treatment, and a stormwater drainage system which handles rainfall runoff and stormwater runoff. The stormwater drainage system is designed as a municipal separate stormwater system, or an MS4, by both the federal EPA Phase 2 stormwater regulations and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. There are many MS4s in Rockland County. The federal and state regulations apply to all of us. The county, each of the 5 towns, and each of the 19 villages all maintain drainage systems and are considered MS4s. In addition, other agencies, such as the New York State Department of Transportation, the New York State Thruway Authority, are also considered MS4s. Even school districts, fire districts, ambulance districts, and libraries that own their own storm drainage systems are considered non-traditional MS4s. As an MS4, we are currently operating under a New York State Source Point Discharge Elimination System, or SPEEDIES permit. It's GP 015003 is the name of the permit. In order to remain compliant with the permit, the town had to develop and follow a stormwater management program that incorporates 6 major components. The 6 primary components are public outreach and education, public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site stormwater runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping for municipal operations. The Stormwater Management Program is a living document that gets periodically updated. We began by filing an original Notice of Intent, or NOI, in 2002. Each year, we must review our progress in meeting the goals established in the program and submit a yearly report to the DEC as to how we met our goals. During each reporting year, The town must establish and successfully accomplish specific goals as indicated in the original notice of intent, and every year the effort needs to build upon the previous year's successes. If this presentation seems a little familiar, it's for a good reason. This is the 13th year that we've been reporting on our program, and it's also the first year of the current 2-year Speedies permit. The purpose of this presentation is to let the public know that they have the opportunity to review the draft annual report and provide written comments to the Department of Public Works. We have a hard copy on file at the Department of Public Works office at 16 Pioneer Avenue in Tallman. The draft report is also posted online on the town's website, www.ramapo.org. The comment period will remain open until May 19th. We will incorporate any comments into the final report. And now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Deputy Director of Public Works, Mike Sadowski, for an explanation of what was done to meet our goals this year.
Ted, May 19th, is that for written comments as well?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, Ted, Mr. Supervisor, members of the Town Board. It's a pleasure again to be here tonight to review the town's achievements during the first year of a new 2-year permit. Overall, it's the 13th year of our stormwater program. I'm going to now briefly review each of the minimum control measures contained in our draft annual report and discuss some of the accomplishments in each category. Eventually, they will be added to our stormwater management plan.
Eventually more arrests.
This is our stormwater management plan. Minimum control measure number 1, public education and outreach. The town of Ramapo's website.
Please. Everybody will get to speak for 3 minutes. Everybody here will individually get to speak for 3 minutes during public participation. Go ahead, Mike.
The website contains a library of informative materials, including public service announcements and pamphlets that we've been distributing over the years. The PSA links can be found clicking Public Works in the drop-down menu under the Departments tab. We recently reestablished some of the links that have been severed. Almost 300 pieces of literature on topics such as constructing rain gardens, the difference between sanitary and storm sewers, and the importance of keeping pollution out of our waterways were picked up by the public at Town Hall and at DPW. We found that many people that come into the DPW office to pick up the free leaf bags and recycling bins are also picking up the educational pamphlets. One of the exciting new things we did this year was to take one of our documents that we created and translate it both into Spanish and Creole in order to better get our message out. There are copies of some of this literature on the table out in the hallway as you walk in. The town again partnered with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Rockland and is a founding member of the Stormwater Consortium of Rockland County. Cornell conducted outreach activities on behalf of the town involving businesses and the general public. Cornell's website also contains a stormwater section where additional information can be obtained. The section has been redesigned and has more information than ever before, including upcoming stormwater classes and related events. The consortium extended its relationship with WRCR and contracted for another year of radio shows and promotional broadcasts. On 11 separate occasions, Mike Wilson conducted radio shows related strictly to stormwater protection. Audio files of each broadcast and written summaries of each program are located on the consortium website, so individuals that could not listen live can still listen to the links or read the summaries about the information that was shared. Minimum control measure 2, public involvement and participation. Advertising for last year's year 12 and this year's year 13 report were posted on the main page of the town's website. Last year's presentation on year 12 was also broadcast on local cable television. The town hired 2 Rockland Conservation and Service Corps workers to assist in performing a variety of the tasks in our program. These workers applied no dumping drains to streams decals on catch basins throughout unincorporated Ramapo. This is what the decals look like. 78 of these decals were applied. Subsequent to the decals being applied, the workers went door to door visiting homeowners and educating them about stormwater pollution. Decal education this year occurred on Green Road, Edward Lane, Michelle Court, and Hillcrest, and Dasher Drive. Flyers were given out to the 15 households who answered their doors and were left for the 43 homes that did not, as well as several dozen at the Dasher Drive Community Center. We intend to continue the program again this year with a new group of Rockland Conservation and Service Corps workers. As always, if any volunteer organization or scouting group is interested in helping apply the decals this summer as a service project, please feel free to contact me. Lastly, Ramapo assisted Keep Rockland Beautiful in advertising for the April 2015 Great American Spring Cleanup. Every year, this event continues to grow. Approximately 86 town volunteers participated on at least 7 cleanup sites in Ramapo last year. There's a link on our website now if you wish to still participate in this worthwhile endeavor for 2016. Minimum Control Measure 3, illicit discharge detection and elimination. We continue to add new catch basins and other structures, as well as modifying our piping system on our GIS digital storm drain map. The map is shown over here in the corner. We visually inspected and photographed for a 10th time, and on some occasions an 11th time, all of our 190 outfall structures in unincorporated Ramapo. The Ramapo Sewer Department flushed 5.8 miles of sanitary sewers in unincorporated Ramapo in a preventive maintenance program designed to eliminate sewage overflows, and we flushed many more miles in the villages as well. Minimum Control Measure number 4, construction site stormwater runoff control. This was the 7th year the town began enforcing the requirement that weekly construction site inspections be performed by certified personnel on projects that exceeded a certain size. 19 of the largest construction projects in town had certified professionals performing these weekly inspections in the last reporting year. This is the largest number of active projects we've ever had under this program. Inspections on these larger projects, as well as the more numerous smaller ones, were conducted by members of both the Building Department and the Department of Public Works. The Highway Department road inspector performed many more site inspections than ever before as well. These inspection results were then forwarded to the Building Department for their action. As was the case in previous reporting years, encouraging and motivating the builders, contractors, and developers to follow these mandated procedures continues to be a challenge. Minimum Control Measure number 5, post-construction stormwater management. This section involves construction sites and the quality of water that runs off of it after the construction has been completed. Construction sites over an acre that meet certain parameters must have water quality measures installed. Ed Moran of the Engineering Department primarily reviews the stormwater pollution prevention plans, or SWIPs, on behalf of the town. He's reviewed plans for these facilities often multiple times for approximately 19 different proposed construction sites located throughout unincorporated Ramapo, and this is the largest number that he's ever reviewed as well. Note that some but not all these projects that Ed reviews also commenced construction last year, and part of the previous category is 19 projects that the inspections are being performed on. Eventually, these water quality facilities are either dedicated to the town once they're completed, or they remain the responsibility of the property owner. Last year, we reported that the town was responsible for maintenance on only one site, the organic filters at the Joseph T. St. Lawrence Community Health and Sports Center. 2 others were recently added and now the town's responsibility to maintain. One other task the town performed under this measure was completed by the Highway Department. In July 2015, the Highway Department installed 16 new retrofit inlet covers on catch basin curb caps on Dover Terrace, Sutton Road, and Blauvelt Road area in Muncie to help prevent litter from entering into the storm drains and eventually into Lake Suzanne. We have approximately 160 of these covers installed at present, and what these covers do is you bolt them to the actual curb caps that are out there, and they prevent large debris such as milk jugs and toys and whatnot from getting in the catch basins and potentially clogging the pipes as well. Minimum Control Measure 6, pollution prevention and good housekeeping for municipal operations. Major accomplishments in unincorporated Ramapo include the street sweeping of over 78 lane miles of road, as well as over 57 acres of parking lots, although some of the parking lot acreage is in the villages because our town parks are located throughout the town, including the villages. Each of the 9 patented polydac filters located in catch basins surrounding the Highway DPW yard were changed this past year in late March by Highway Department personnel. These pillow-looking filters are positioned in cages that are suspended from the tops of the catch basins. Water runs down through the grates in the open holes and runs through the filter. These devices filter out hydrocarbons and heavy metals from entering into the storm drain system. The last component of these minimum control measures is employee education. 3 highway employees took a class in roadway and roadside drainage in April 2015. In November, 2 engineers took the 4-hour erosion sediment control class. In December, 4 highway employees and I took a half-day course on illicit discharge detection and elimination at Cornell Cooperative Extension in Stony Point. In January, 8 Parks employees took a class for best management practices for Parks employees. And finally, in February 2016, 6 Highway Department employees attended a class at the Clarkstown Highway Department on pollution prevention for highway departments. As previously indicated, that's just a summary of our activities performed this past year as part of the town's stormwater management program. As Ted had indicated, more detailed information can be found by viewing the actual year 13 draft report that's available for one more week at the DPW offices located at 16 Pioneer Avenue in Tallman. It was posted online on May 3rd at www.ramapo.org, but the supporting documents are only at DPW. They're not on the online document. You can access the draft report by going to the main page, click on the Departments tab, click on Public Works, and then click Annual Reports, and it's the one at the top. The draft annual report will continue to be available for review and comments through May 19th, and at that time we'll incorporate any comments received by the public into developing the final report. The final report will then be sent to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation prior to the June 1st, 2016 deadline, as well as subsequently being posted online. We'll take the draft report down and we'll add the final report up there. At this point, it's customary that we take questions from the board, and I can take questions if they're stormwater
I'd like to
related.
ask, Mike, when you look at the outfalls, you take pictures of the outfalls, and
Yes,
you
we do.
categorize them. Are they also positioned with GPS, so you know exactly where they are in the GPS system?
They are. They do have a longitude and latitude assigned to them.
And in the educational material, does it let people know that they shouldn't put grass clippings along the banks of,
Excuse me?
does
The
it,
what?
on the education material, do we let people know they shouldn't put grass clippings along the banks of the streams behind their houses and things of that nature?
We have one flyer that we do distribute to residents that live along waterways of the do's and don'ts of good stewardship of living along a stream, and grass clippings throwing in the stream is not one of the practices that is encouraged.
Okay. Any members of the board have any questions?
Very good job on the presentation.
Great job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes for our regular meeting of January 28th. Moved by Mr. Ullman, seconded by Councilwoman Logan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. Next is the acceptance of the minutes for the regular meeting of February 10th, 2016. Moved by Deputy Supervisor
Charles.
Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes for the regular meeting of March 9th, 2016.
Charles.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, second by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is acceptance of the regular meeting minutes for March 24th, 2016. Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Item number 2 on the agenda, Town Attorney Michael Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board.
Okay.
We have 4 resolutions for approval of agreements. The first agreement is compliance with the request of the Girl Scouts Heart of Hudson to use the town parking lot as a staging area for distribution of Girl Scout cookies.
Moved by?
Charles.
Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
The next agreement is one that we have approved for a number of years. This provides Cornell Cooperative Extension as the entity to provide community-wide education with respect to Phase 2 stormwater regulations. This was touched on the presentation which we just heard.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
For a number of years, the town has engaged the services of Zambelli Fireworks Manufacturing Company of Newcastle, Pennsylvania. This resolution engages them again for this year for a fireworks display at the town's 2016 Celebration of Liberty and Pride at the Rockland Community College on June 26, 2016.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by
Charles.
Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
We've received a request from the Tallman Fire Department to use Camp Scuffy.
Please. Would you repeat that?
Yes, we've received a request from the Tallman Fire Department to use Camp Scuffy for its annual department picnic on August 21st, 2016. This resolution approves that request.
Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously.
The next 7 resolutions all involve settlement of tax certiorari matters which are now pending. The first of these involves Scranton Realty Associates, LLC. This is a tax year 2015 and 16. It's at 176 Main Street in Spring Valley. The tax refund involved in this settlement is $275.23.
Charles?
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously.
The next property owner is Congregation Shamrei Derech. This is for 2014-2015 tax year. This will be an exemption based on the clergyman's use at 5 Wendover Lane.
Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles.
Retroactive tax exemption. Retroactive doesn't work.
We have the next property owner, subject to a...
We did it. We did it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously.
The next resolution affects property at 201 Route 306, Muncie. This is for tax year 2015 and 16.
Charles?
Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The property owner...
Please, please.
The next resolution involves a property owner known as Hillcrest Point Apartment Owners Corporation. This is property on Sneeden Place in Spring Valley. This settles tax years 2011 through 2016 and results in a town tax refund of $1,960.
Charles?
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously.
We have the settlement of tax year 2014 and 15 on the next resolution. This is for property at 97 Highview Road.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously.
G&J 59 LLC is the next property owner. This is at property on 31 Roosevelt and Central Avenue. This is actually 3 different tax lots. It settles tax years 2014 through 2016, and the total tax refund on all 3 parcels is about $500.
Charles?
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
15 Cedar Lane is the location of the next tax certiorari settlement. This settles tax year 2014 and 15 and corrects the assessment.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
The next resolution retains the services of Exam Works to conduct an independent medical examination in the defense of a personal injury action.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
Authorization by the town board is sought to file a notice of appeal in a personal injury case involving Lefkowitz versus the town of Ramapo. This will appeal the denial of a summary judgment motion.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
The settlement of a property damage claim filed by Mr. Welch is the subject of the next resolution. The settlement is for $4,500 for property that was damaged.
Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously.
The next resolution, I've been asked to read the full resolution based on the public interest in this matter, and I'll do so. Whereas Adam Peltz, an employee of the building department, was the subject of an investigation into potential disciplinary charges, and whereas the town attorney's office has recommended that the potential...
The two people in the front here, you have to quiet down. Other people want to hear this. Go ahead, Michael.
has recommended that the potential disciplinary charges be settled pursuant to an agreement between the town and the Civil Service Employees Association, a copy of which is on file in the town clerk's office. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Ramapo that it hereby agrees to settle potential disciplinary charges against Adam Peltz pursuant to the agreement set forth above, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute the above agreement in a form approved by the town attorney's office. I was also asked to read relevant sections of the agreement, if that's what the board
Okay.
wishes.
Yes, please.
Those sections are as follows. First, the employee knowingly and voluntarily admits that the inspections referenced in the above-referenced letter were inadequate and that they failed to identify conditions that were in violation of the Town of Ramapo Fire Safety Code and the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, and concedes that the improper inspections constitute misconduct and dereliction of duty on his part. Second, and this is the sanctions, that the employee agrees to accept the following discipline as and for a penalty for the aforementioned admitted misconduct. Number one, the employee agrees to a demotion in grade and pay from his current position of fire safety inspector to the position of assistant fire safety inspector. Number two, the employee agrees to accept a suspension of
Please.
60...
Go ahead. Number two.
Number two, the employee agrees to accept a suspension of 60 calendar days without pay. Number three, the employee agrees that he will not have use of a town vehicle. Number four, the employee acknowledges that he's required to obtain permission from the Director of Building, Planning, and Zoning prior to responding to a fire in his capacity as a town employee after hours. And finally, the employee agrees that he will attend and complete all job-related training as directed by the town of Ramapo. Copies of these documents will be available for public distribution after tonight's meeting.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Council, we have the increase in the fees for the special counsel on utility actions. Are you doing that? You doing the utility action fees?
Oh, yes. We also have a resolution.
Please. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
2F,
Yeah.
at the request,
Yeah. Okay, 2F on the agenda. 2F on the agenda. That is for the increase.
in fees for special counsel working with the assessor's office on fiber optic and utility assessment cases.
Okay, moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
And we also have G is the rescission of resolution number 2016-98, which had provided for overnight stay of officers attending a course.
Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. That's the end of your report, Council?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Next item we have is the personnel, our Director of Personnel, Linda Condon. Linda? Yeah, right here, right there.
Hi, good evening. Item 3A is a resolution to rescind Resolution 2016-224, appointing a police radio dispatcher CAD.
Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
Thank you. Item 3B is a resolution to appoint Alyssa Guido, real property data collector, effective June 13th, 2016.
Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
Item 3C is a resolution reclassifying a position of grounds worker in the Parks and Recreation Department to senior grounds worker.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
Thank you. 3D is the appointment of Matthew Pelicano as senior grounds worker in the Parks and Recreation Department effective May 14th, 2016.
Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. Is he here tonight?
I
No?
don't think so.
Okay.
I looked for him.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
And the last is item 3E. It's a resolution to approve a 3-year renewal with our workers' compensation third-party administrator, PMA Management Corporation.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Thank you,
Thank
Linda.
you.
The one item on finance is the purchase by the Police Department of a traffic control equipment device. Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Next item is purchasing. Director of Purchasing, Mona Montel.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Item 5A on the agenda, 5A1 is the acceptance of the bid for various one-day bus trips for schools and equivalent. We're asking you to accept this bid as listed in your resolution.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Item 5A2 on the agenda is the acceptance of the bid for the replacement and repair of 6 tennis courts at Manny Welder Park. We're asking you to accept the bid as listed in your resolution.
That last resolution wasn't for schools, folks, if you listen. It was for our parks, and it's to take kids in our parks program. She said that the very first one was not about schools. It was about parks. And it said that the buses had to be at least a school bus equivalent in the bid. It's for our parks program, for Camp Scuffy and our mini camps and our specialty camps. Go ahead. You're welcome.
I did. Mr. Supervisor and the
Go ahead.
town board, I'd like you to, item 5A3 on the agenda is the acceptance of bids for various trips for the Parks and Recreation Department for coach buses for the various summer programs for 2016 summer programs. I'm asking you to accept the bid as listed in the resolution.
Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Item 5B on the agenda is the
Yeah,
acceptance
hold
of...
on. Yeah, moved by Ullman, seconded by Charles, and it was voted on unanimously.
Item 5B on the agenda is the acceptance of the quotation for towing of Ramapo vehicles, including trucks. I'm going to ask the town board to amend the resolution. There are 2 winners of this bid, one for large vehicles and one for small. The winner of the bid for the large wrecker towing needs, as per the request of the police department, is Big Tow, and it's Jan's Medicar Services for cars, small vans, and pickup trucks. I'm asking you to accept the quotation and proposal as listed in the resolution,
Thank you.
amended.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Under General Matters, 6A, we have the installation of 4 street lights on Garden Terrace in Spring Valley. Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by
Withers?
Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Approval of the financial disclosures for various employees. Moved by?
Withers?
Moved by Ullman, Councilman Ullman, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Item 6C is a donation of motor vehicles to the town of Ramapo. These donations are coming from Councilwoman Charles. These are coming from Chestnut Ridge to the police department. Okay. Moved by Councilwoman Charles, second by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the boards and commissions. This is to reappoint the site selection committee members. These are for site committee for group homes throughout the town under the Padavin law. Moved by Councilman Ullman, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Mr.
Council, we have a couple of new business items.
Yes, we have 3 items. 2 of these have been requested by the police department. The first of these is the appointment of a hearing officer in a police disciplinary matter. The hearing officer will be William E. Sherwood of Stony Point.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
The next resolution authorizes the filing of a letter of termination against a police officer who's been out of work for more than 1 year.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
And finally, we have a resolution which,
We can't hear. We can't hear.
It was the, go ahead, Michael. It
and
was for
finally,
1 year.
Can you?
Go ahead, Michael.
we have a resolution authorizing the commencement of an injunction action against the
Injunction
property
action
owner of
against the property
33
owner at
Forshey
33
Road.
Forshey.
This has been recommended by our building inspector.
Moved by Councilman Ullman, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Do you have any other new business items?
That's all.
Okay. And at this time, we'll open up public participation. Anybody in the public who would like to speak, raise your hand. You have 3 minutes in public participation. It's not a question and answer period. It is a moment for people in the public to make a statement for 3 minutes. You have your full 3 minutes, and then when you're done with your 3 minutes, the clerk will tell you when your 3 minutes is up. To answer your question on the group homes, it was on the agenda. If you look on the agenda, it says Site Selection Committee for group homes. Its Site Selection Committee is for group homes that are proposed at any time during the year. There are none at this moment proposed. But by the law, by the Padavin law, towns have to have a public committee that reviews those group home proposals. That's the state law, okay? Okay, anybody in the public who would like to speak, come up. Come right up. State your name and address, and the clerk will let you know when your 3 minutes is up.
My name is...
Okay. He'll give you a 30-second warning so you can wrap your remarks up.
Right.
Okay.
My name is Veronica DeMeo Bosch. I'm the former mayor of Vermont. And I have lived in Ramapo for 59 years through many different supervisors, going back to Edwin Wallace, whose name is on the door out there. And when I first moved here, when my parents first moved here, we had an ultra-Orthodox community in Ramapo, but we all got along. There was no enmity, there was no feeling of them versus us. Supervisor, this is your legacy. This is what you have created. And you have created it. You have created it because of your political ambitions. You wanted to rely on a large block of voters who would always vote for you and keep you in office as long as you were legally able to remain in office. And this has caused the creation of, as I said before, the them versus us feeling in this town. I would hope that the next supervisor who replaces you will have...
Finish. How much time, Chef?
Will have
A minute and...
will
You have another
have
minute. Go
as
ahead.
a priority the growing together, the uniting of our communities, because if we don't do that, this will only become worse. It will only add to more hatred. It will only add to more suspicion because each group is suspicious of the other. And when it seems that our town government favors one group over the other, this, of course, causes more anguish and causes more antipathy. And for those, for those who are chanting 4 more years, they obviously do not understand what I'm
Address
trying
the
to
board,
say.
Veronica. Address
All
the board.
They
You have
don't
30
quite
seconds left.
understand what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that our communities can work together if we have a town government that serves all people in this town and not just a one group.
Okay. Anybody else? Got Rudy Dent? He's coming up. Who else would like to speak?
Mr. Dent is coming up. Hold on, ma'am, Rudy Dent.
Mr. Dent, and ma'am, you can speak next.
Rudy Dent, if there's any disruption, please stop the clock. All right?
Go ahead.
If there's any
Your
disruption
clock
on
is
my
running.
time.
Go right ahead.
All right, you know where I live, 8 Red Oak Lane. Chris, I'm a former cop. I'm a school-trained FDNY building inspector. I've lived here for 20 years. I also did real estate here, and I've seen incredible criminality in this town. No, Chris, you're not the king of Ramapo, but the buck stops with you. And you are really a jester, and the rabbit has the gun in this town. This town is run by the block that you have been sucking up to, and you have betrayed us. All right? You have betrayed a sacred trust. And I call that treason as a veteran. And as a police officer, you've also been implicated by my good friend I see him here. Is that Jacob? Is that Jacob? Yeah, Jacob implicated you in a crime in 2007. We have the incident report, but you did nothing about it. But if the news cares to follow up on it now, since they didn't then, I'd be happy to provide them with that incident report. All right? What has happened?
Go ahead, then.
All right, stop the clock.
Go ahead,
Stop the clock.
Go ahead.
What has happened in this town is an absolute disgrace, absolutely disgraceful. You have a vile and disgusting, disgraceful entity within this town who has actually, stop the clock.
Go ahead, Rudy, we're listening.
Who has taken over this town, who has no shame, and who are the real rulers of Ramapo. And that is a shame. And that is a crime against me and everybody. I want to see justice done. I want to see liberty and justice for all, not just some. I've had to live through all the entire time of your tenure here, and it's been absolutely disgraceful. I hope that you can find a conscience within you and just simply resign, Chris. You know? Because, wait! Stop the clock! Stop the clock! This is my time! Stop the clock.
Go ahead, Rudy.
All right.
You have 30 seconds.
Go ahead, Rudy.
You know what you might consider, if you remember, every time I spoke and everything I told you about your fiduciaries and your indemnification has come true. I knew the names on the indictments. I didn't mention them. I told you that came true. Now you're using our money to defend yourself against further investigations by the FBI, and there's a law against that. Okay? It's a federal and a state law. So I just hope that you do the right thing.
Time's up, Rudy. Thank you.
Resign because...
Thank you, Rudy.
Well, that took some of my time.
No, your time's up. Come right up, man. No, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Good evening, good evening, good evening, board. My name is Lila Lee. My husband and I are relative newcomers to the town of Ramapo. However, one of the things I heard tonight disturbed me.
What's your address?
My point is, I would like this board, I implore this board, in the interest of all of our residents, the building safety issue. What are you doing to make transparent what your operating procedures are for oversight of the building inspector and checks and balances? I think you need to make that clear, and that should be publicly posted so that everyone knows what the rules are and that there is some oversight to what the building inspector does and is expected to do.
Thank you.
And that would serve the interest of all and also prevent what has already happened at great cost. If you are to do your jobs, I implore you to look at how you are running these types of things. Public safety is important to everyone. And if your jobs are at stake for that, because our lives and our well-being is important to that.
Thank you, Lila.
Okay? I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Ms. Lee, may I have your address, please? May I have your address? Your address?
My address? May I give it to you in private? I can give it to you in private.
What would you want with your address?
No, you cannot. No, each individual gets 3 minutes, and that's it. Come right up. Judah Lair. Start his clock.
Judah Lair, 52 Brewer Road, Muncie, and I just please ask for no applause, no boos, no anything. It's just words. This is democracy. Everyone's allowed to speak without being harassed. First, I want to give a shout out to my brothers and sisters in blue with the New York City Department of Correction, especially those who work at GMDC, the 3 building on Rikers Island, the finest people I have ever worked with. Next, I want to let everybody know that Preserve Ramapo is having a fundraiser Sunday night. You can go to their website and get information about what they are calling the indictment party. Speaking of Preserve Ramapo, I want to try and clarify something. Preserve Ramapo has been labeled by a whole bunch of people as religious-oriented, religious-opposing, anti-Semitic, etc. The reality is the following. Most of you aren't here for it. Preserve Ramapo was formed by Amy Helk, myself, and a whole bunch of ultra-Orthodox people from Muncie in reaction to the massive and unconscionable downzoning of Patrick Farm. The owners of that piece of property, the Lebovitz family, have made it their business to label any opponent to Christopher St. Lawrence as an anti-Semite, while they themselves do support anti-Semitic, open anti-Semitic candidates such as Bernard Charles in Spring Valley, who blamed his mayoral loss, quote from the Journal News, on the Jews. Now, the developers have no problem with Bernard Charles or his wife, Brendel Charles, who has a similar reputation, because they do the bidding for these people. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the article in Journal News about one chief, 2 jobs, former police chief Brower, who was using admittedly town assets to run a private business. 2 points in this. Mr. Ullman, you're calling for an investigation by Michael Klein? I knew you were a schwanz. I just didn't know you were such a big schwanz. How in the world are you going to find shidduchim for your children? The last thing is an answer to a question I got. The last thing, a question that I got answered is, yes, Brower was involved. There was a rumor that Brower and his wife drove up to Albany to retrieve Chris when party members up there called to tell Brower that his boss was hammered and acting inappropriately, one to drive him and one to drive his car. So we have a police chief supervised by our supervisor who admittedly used town assets, who apparently was involved in covering up a crime and dragged his wife
Your
into it.
time is up.
Hello, my name is Griffin Merker. I'm a 16-year-old student at Suffern High School. And it honestly pains me that I'm not going to be able to raise my kids in what was once a great town because it's been ruined by your corruption. And like you're just in way too deep. The jig is up. You're not fooling anyone with this block vote, and I think you should just resign now.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Marissa Romoff. I live at 8 Highgate Court.
I'm sorry,
in
I didn't
Suffern.
get your name.
Marissa Romoff.
Would you spell your last name, please?
R-O-M as in Mary, O-F-F.
Thank you, Marissa. Your address?
8 Highgate Court, Suffern, New York.
Thank you.
My 3 minutes start now, I assume?
Yes, they do. Go right ahead, Marissa.
I have been a lifetime-long town of Ramapo resident. I was born in Spring Valley. I was raised in Spring Valley. I'm a graduate of Spring Valley High School. That was 30 years ago. I celebrate my 30th anniversary reunion this year. When people find out I'm from Spring Valley High School, they look at me now a little strange because product of Spring Valley, does not have a great reputation now, but it did back then. We were tops. I was always proud of being part of the town of Ramapo. To the point, when I got married 25 years ago, my husband took me to New Jersey to live. I was not happy. I wanted to come home. We came home 20 years ago. I feel like I was home 20 years ago. Many things have changed in the county in the past 30 years, many in the town of Ramapo. It is very disheartening to drive around and see the changes in the town of Ramapo, the clear cutting, the high-density housing. I started in Colton Elementary School. Colton obviously is no longer there, but tons of housing is around. I wound up at El Dorado Elementary School. Not much has changed so far, but everywhere I go, everything is different. I feel different about the town of Ramapo. I don't know that my children will stay in the town of Ramapo the way things are going. And I blame you, Supervisor. I directly blame you. I'm devastated by what has happened in this town. It used to be a wonderful, wonderful town that I call home. It's not anymore. Additionally, I am mortified by what I see behind me. The division between people. It wasn't like that years ago. It wasn't. We grew up. I went to Spring Valley. Spring Valley was as diverse a population 30 years ago that it was wonderful. We all got along. Nobody said, you're this, you're that, we're separate. My best friends were from different communities, and it worked.
I'm sorry, you have 20 seconds.
Go ahead.
Excuse me?
You have 20 seconds, Marissa. You can wrap up your comment.
This community has been divided, and it's not about anti-Semitism. That has no place in it. It has to do with people making poor decisions to make other people happy.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in public participation? Anybody else who would like to speak? Come right up. Come right up. Right there.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Waxshell. Live 8 Neva Court, Suffern, New York. As a couple of speakers here before...
Would you repeat your address, please, Mr.
8 Neva,
Waxshell?
8 Neva Court.
Thank you.
Suffern, New York. I've been born actually here in the town of Ramapo, Suffern Hospital, been a lifelong resident. About 10 to 12 years ago, when our great supervisor, Christopher Lawrence, got elected. The first meeting that I remember was one of the things that the supervisor said at that time was, no more them, no more us. We're all united. We all live in the town of Ramapo. We are a deserved community. And this was what he was trying to do all the way along, and along came...
Please, let everybody speak.
Along came Preserve Ramapo, along came Black the Black, along came all those hate groups that they started dividing our community. I just want to say we could live together as long as we don't hate each other. We understand that we're here. We're here to stay. There is no us. There is no them. Mr. Supervisor, you've done a great job in trying to get that done. Keep up the good work. We're all here together. And that there is not I don't know of another politician in this county that tried as hard to get all the diverse communities together. Let's do it. Let's try to live together in peace and keep up the good work. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. This lady right here is coming up. Start the clock. We're going to do that. Start the clock, please.
I wanna be in that. I'm kind of short. What do I have to tell you? Camille
Name and address,
Saunders.
please.
I live in unincorporated Ramapo. You don't need my address. I'm not giving it to you.
What's your name?
Camille Saunders.
Thank you.
Saunders. What I have to say to you, and I can't even say your name, you stacked the meeting tonight. We're not morons. None of us here are idiots. I'd like to have all their names and check the records to see how many of them are not paying taxes, because I know the people I brought all pay taxes. They're living on our money, and it's your fault that they're living on our money. We pay. They live on the Ramapo gravy train, Section 8, food stamps. Should I go on and on and on? They build on little plots of land, and you allowed it. You destroyed our town. And you know what? I'm an alumni of Spring Valley. You allowed him to destroy our schools. You did that. You aren't right. The paper your name is written on. You aren't even a man, because a man would have walked away from this. A man would have left. You shamed your family. You shamed our town. You destroyed our town.
Hi, how you doing? Larry Strack, 7 Roberts Place, New Hempstead, New York. Believe it or not, I'm
I
here to
didn't
talk
get your
about
name, sir.
Larry Strack.
Thank you.
I'm here to talk about something else.
Okay,
I
Larry.
want to talk about Spook Rock Golf Course. Seniors, of which I am one, pay a disproportional amount of their income for taxes, okay? And we're not getting the benefits. The highest ratio of golfers are seniors in the United States. Look it up. Because so much money went to the ballpark, okay, the town, Spook Rock Golf Course is understaffed. The conditions, the playing conditions there are horrible, okay? Spook Rock used to be a good golf course, no longer. They rarely mow, you never see the lawnmowers out there. We got roughs around the greens that are this tall. Even at the US Open, the professionals golfers do not play under those conditions. They play in better conditions than the condition at Spook Rock Golf Course. The sand traps there are raked once a year, whether they need it or not. I played 40-some rounds of golf last year there, and I saw them rake the bunkers once, and you can see evidence of it, even if you aren't there that day, that they rake the traps. But they are only staffed at 60% of what is necessary to maintain that golf course. We pay our taxes, the senior citizens pay a disproportionate amount of their taxes, of their income for taxes, and we're getting shafted, okay, because we're spending all of our money on the frickin' ball field. You ought to see the grass in the ball field. It's immaculate, okay? Put up an ice rink last year. What happened? $125,000 for the repair of the outfield. You know how many grounds people we could have had last year for that $125,000? And for Mr. Klein, I received an ADA. I'm a veteran, and I'm also disabled senior. I have difficulty walking for any length of time and for standing any length of time. When I asked what their policies were in regards to the ADA, did you review their policies? Because I received something. Okay, I know we're not supposed to ask questions, but I think...
Making notes, Larry. I'll make notes.
You have 30 seconds.
All right.
Thank you very much. I don't believe that what they set their guidelines at are conforming to the ADA, and I would like the town to investigate that, if you please. And please bring back Spook Rock Golf Course to its former glory. It used to be ranked in the top 100 public golf courses in the United States. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Larry. Please, ma'am, we're conducting a meeting here, ma'am. Ma'am, we're conducting a meeting. If you want to ask after the meeting, you can, okay? Go ahead.
After the meeting.
My name is Paul Diamond. I live in the town of Suffern. I've been asked to put this statement on the public record. This was the statement we would have read at the last meeting had there been public comments. I'm here to speak on behalf of the members of Save Our Town Ramapo. Federal indictments, alleged cooked books, fire safety inspection scandals, fraudulent land sales. Where does it end? As a longtime resident and taxpayer of Ramapo, I'm appalled at the constant onslaught of scandals seeping out of this town hall like a swampy ooze. Were they not true, they could be plot lines on the Boardwalk Empire. Unfortunately, this is not a fictional HBO series. This is the sad reality of town governance in the town of Ramapo. The leadership of this town has abjectly failed in its fiduciary, moral, civic responsibilities of serving the public trust. A culture of corruption appears to hang over this building like a dark cloud. The time has come for the supervisor, and indeed the entire town board, to look itself squarely in the mirror and ask itself, is this town better off now than it was a decade ago? I can tell you how the taxpayers would answer that. They tremble as they open their tax bill, knowing that taxes will once again rise at crushing rates. They are paying for a baseball stadium they didn't want and don't need. They read that Moody's is considering a bond rating downgrade, and they know what that means for their tax bill. They read that the town board will use public money to defend public officials of official malfeasance, and they know what that means for their tax bill. They read that major businesses are leaving Ramapo, and they know what that means for their tax bill. This is not what Better Off looks like. And now, Mr. Supervisor, you ask for a day in court to answer the charges filed by the U.S. Attorney while continuing to drink from the public trough. No, that won't do. Enough is enough. The supervisor is indeed entitled to his day in court, to his innocent until proven guilty. But we, the taxpayers of Ramapo, are entitled to honest, effective, transparent government, and not a government whose chief executive is spending his time in federal court for 6 months or more while leaving the ship of state rudderless. This is not how we move forward and find our way clear to calmer waters. We ask that that Mr. St. Lawrence, Mr. Trudler, Mr. Oberman, and Mr. Klein do what is right for the people of Ramapo and resign their positions immediately. Let us begin.
You have 30 seconds.
Let us begin to rebuild the bond between the residents and their town government. Let us begin to put the endless stream of scandal behind us. Let us begin to make Ramapo a destination point for young families once again. If you really want to serve the people of Ramapo, Mr. St. Lawrence, resign now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond. Come right.
I hope you record this.
Right, the clock.
First, before I speak, I would like you to look at me when I'm talking to you.
Please state your name. Your name and address, please.
No, thank you. I'm speaking for the people, that's my name. And I'm a sophomore in Suffern High School, and I think it's pretty pathetic what you have done. None of these people are born to hate each other, and because of you, you made everyone hate each other. And I don't have that much to say, but all I'm saying is, I hope you look at yourself in the mirror and see how much you caused, and I hope you feel very badly about it, because what you did was pathetic and wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Say your name and address, please.
My name is not I speak for the people, but my name is that I do not hate all the people. Contrary to what the previous speaker has stated, the presumption that everybody in this room hates each other, I would like to state myself as being an exception. I absolutely hate no one in this room, even though I strongly disagree with some of the opinions, and definitely with the childish, immature behavior of someone in this room. I still do not hate them. I think they're good people. I think their intentions are probably pure and sincere, even though they're probably wrong. I would like to relate a story And also, I mean, even though I would appreciate, and if you show me the respect and look at me, it's not mandatory, it's perfectly fine if you choose not to. I would like to relate a quick anecdote. I took a walk in Kakiyat Park, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, and it was a walk by myself. It was a nice day, it was a beautiful day, and I met a Native American, someone who's a descendant from Native American, I believe from the Munsee tribe indeed, which the hamlet of Munsee is named after. And somehow we clicked. We greeted each other. Hi, how are you? Enjoy the weather. We started talking and chatting. And inevitably at some point we started discussing the town, the demographics, the change the town has been going through. And at some point he actually, not me, he brought up Preserve Ramapo. He added to me like it's pretty ironic. With an ironic smile he told me, what are they preserving? They're actually preserving our destruction. We've been here before them. The town has been looked extremely differently way before when we lived and we occupied this place. Before the white man came here, referring collectively to all the European people who came here. And they actually... No, I am. That's how the Native Americans... this person is asking me if I'm not a white man. I didn't mean it in a derogatory term. The Native Americans are referring to us, non-Native Americans, as the white men. Europeans, that's how they refer to us. If, I believe there's a story in here in the back. Is it true? Thank you. And so they said these people who came here, they actually, they built up this whole place. This place used to be beautiful before they came here. It was nice, it was pleasant, we were all connected with the earth, and it's what Mother Nature wants. And you guys, you're referring to me, along with everyone in this room, along with 95% of the population of the town of Ramapo, we came here, we messed this place up. So, but I asked him, listen, we did everything according to this is the rule of law. There is zoning, everything is done legally. He said, yes, you come here, you make your own rules, and then you play the game according to those rules, and then we're right. So, okay, that's what he said.
He got it. We got it. Please, ma'am.
I want to wholeheartedly thank for that, man, for reminding me I have only 30 seconds that I'm equal to everybody else. Thank you. You're great. And so I just want to add, this is unfortunately sometimes the reality. I'm not saying any particular, I'm not.
Go ahead, finish up.
I want to finish up.
your
10
statement.
seconds, 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
But I would like them to listen to me too, because I'm speaking to them as well, and I don't hate them. So what I'm trying to say basically is that there's faults as humans. Every human is flawed, and everybody has their faults. Same goes for a collective of humans. So everybody's trying their best. We, meaning us, Jews, Gentiles, non-Jews, non-Orthodox, Orthodox, who've been here before, it came after. We all messed up the Native Americans' way of life. And this is the way the world works, unfortunately, for some people. Thank you.
Come on, come up, ma'am. Ma'am, you. Yeah, did you want to speak?
After all this time, you don't know my name, Chris? Sorry, it's almost funny. My name is Deborah Munitz. I live at 5 Rose Hill Road in Montebello. I'm going to read this. I'm going to actually
Debbie
look.
Seidman, but it's Munitz. Okay.
It's like Seidman Munitz.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm going to look at Yitzi because he's one of the few people I think that actually sometimes stands up and asks questions. Recent arrests highlight the need for new leadership on the board. The increased opposition in the polls has demonstrated to the current board that trust and confidence from the residents of the town of Ramapo has largely been lost outside of a limited faithful portion of the town. Many voters at the last elections didn't vote at all, knowing not whether to vote for the devil they know versus the devil they don't. While the crowd tonight has come out asking for the supervisor to do the honorable thing and resign, and listen.
Go ahead, Deb.
Okay, listen. For those people who've come and watched me speak before, I always speak with respect. I think respect should be given. I think that it's the only thing to do that's going to move things forward. So just let me have my moment, okay? I just want to reiterate, I do adopt all of the comments that were made by Mr. Diamond. I thought he spoke very well. My problem is I don't have much hope that there will be a resignation. So what I'm going to do tonight is I want to ask formally in writing, and I'll give this to you, as a resident of the town of Ramapo, is for the remaining members of the board to step up to the plate and take the reins and provide real leadership that the town is lacking. And to me, this means addressing head-on key issues at hand between the town board and the town residents. Poor communications and a lack of trust. If the town board wants to foster respect, you must earn it, and you must muster support for it. To demonstrate to all the residents of the town that you are independent thinkers and leaders, I call upon the town board members to do the following. 1, recall the gag order that the town employees work under. If all work is being done honestly and transparently, employee non-disclosure agreements are not necessary. Until they're lifted or substantially altered.
You have 30 seconds.
No one on this board, I did not talk for 3 minutes,
You have 30 seconds.
can
Go
claim
ahead.
to be running the town transparently. Make a town resolution that all public notices from all departments and all boards on the website in a clear designated area at least 11 days before any town board, planning board, zoning board, or other department board decision is considered. Make a town resolution that all public meeting agendas from all departments and all boards are posted to the website with a date of posting and an indication of any updates since the initial
Your
posting.
time is up.
Time's up, Deb.
I was interrupted. I would
No,
actually
your time is up.
respectfully
Your 3 minutes
ask,
is up. You can submit anything in writing to the...
can I
Your
ask
time's up,
some of the
Debbie.
board members to please
time is
grant
up.
me another?
Your time is up. You have 3 minutes and it's up. Your time is up. You have 3
I would
minutes
like to
everyone
ask,
else. Debbie,
I
your
would
time
like
is
to
up.
ask the board to allow me to speak. Mr.
No.
Withers, would you ask if
No,
others
your
would
time
allow
is
me to
up.
speak for
Your 3
2 more
minutes
minutes?
is
I came with
this is-
very specific,
Debbie, just finish up, please. Are you going to be long?
if I'm not interrupted, I won't be,
No.
okay?
You
Okay,
have-
guys,
I'll give you-
please
we'll give you
just be
10 more
quiet,
seconds.
okay?
You have 10
I'm at-
seconds to finish your
I
thought.
have a list of specific resolutions that I think are all not
Your time is
antagonistic,
up, Debbie, so
okay?
just wrap it up.
I'm asking that the town also resolve that all public meeting draft minutes from all departments and all boards are posted to the website at least 11 days before the following meeting. If an item is added to the agenda, it should be clearly discussed, okay? Make a town resolution that no law shall be
Your
changed.
time is up, Debbie. Debbie, your time is up.
I'll post the
Your time
rest
is
of the
up.
comments for the people at large on my Facebook, and I'll give this to Chris Sampson, and he can put it in the
Thank you.
record with the minutes of the
Sir,
meeting
you
of this
come
meeting.
up. Come on up, sir. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Tomasz O'Reilly. I've been a resident of Rockland County for 59 years. I just recently retired as an environmental engineering adjunct professor. I know about racism and bigotry because I have Irish background. I actually am a member of the Irish nation, as I have both passports, although I was born in America. I've been in Ireland a lot on the peace missions to Belfast, but I'm also a member of the Choctaw Nation. So Hali Tochi Chukma, hello, how are you in Choctaw? Jiwich Konstatu, hello, how are you in Irish Gaelic? I know about racism and bigotry. The Irish nation has suffered for 847 years by being crushed by the British Empire. All the Native American Indian nations, I can speak a little bit of 9 American Indian languages. I've been accused of being a racist and a bigot because of my involvement with this, and I've been called an anti-Semite. I almost married a Jewish girl in high school. I have Jewish friends from high school and college who I treasure. I have Jewish brothers and sisters here tonight who are also called self-hating Jews. This is a smokescreen. It's a red herring, the racist situation. This is all about criminality and corruption. And I wasn't going to speak tonight. I'm very upset right now at this moment. I'm actually shaking about this, what I've witnessed tonight. But the final straw is the alleged $150 million. And I had 2 uncles that were FBI, a lot of police and firemen in my background. I'm the oddball, I'm the engineer. But that $150 million is retired senior citizens in Ramapo who worked their whole lives paying taxes, and this is their retirement money that they're going to have to pay these bonds back with. This is immoral, illegal, unacceptable. It just, on so many levels, it's so wrong. And when I started at the first, let me finish. When I started at my Irish is up, goddammit. I'm an Irish renegade, rebel, and an Indian renegade. When I was at the first thing on Monday morning 2 weeks ago, they said, here, Tommy, hold this green sign because you're Irish and because it says, thank you, FBI, because you had 2 uncles that were FBI. So justice will prevail.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Luann Danino, 2A Utopian Place, Suffern, New York. Mr. Supervisor and the board, I formed the group Save Our Town Ramapo, and I'm going to tell you this. We are not about religion. We are not about race. We are about having a safe government. And in this room, we don't feel safe. We didn't discriminate against religion. That was you. We didn't do that. In this room, they might feel that we're on one side, they're on another. But our job here is that we want united. And we're not like that. So I'm sorry if they feel that way, but your supervisor did that to you. I own a daycare center. I own a daycare center in the town of Suffern. I've been in business for 30 years. Mr. Klein knows me very well. I watched his children. It disturbed me that you have a fire inspector that went around sitting there not giving violations when they weren't able to walk upstairs, children, when their fire exits were out. Because Mr. Klein, as I watched your children, I am sure that I had every exit sign lit, every staircase cleared, and every entranceway, and that your child was in no way harm's way. But I'm not really sure why this happened today, and why the fire inspector was able to do that. Why he wasn't able to give out violations, because I know I would have gotten one, and you know what? It would have been justice. I should have gotten one had that happened. So you know what? I run a daycare center. I abide by my rules. Not sure why your board and yourself cannot do the same. We in Ramapo, we want to feel safe. We don't feel safe. We have corruption. I know that if I do a crime, I would pay the time. I would have to do what I have to do. I wouldn't be in business tomorrow. But you know what? Unfortunately, you are. You need to go. You need to give us our town back, because I want my children to run here. I want to have my small children.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. I want to be able to keep my daycare center, because you know why? Tomorrow morning, I want to put food on my children's table, and I want my families to walk into my daycare center, as I did, Mr. Klein, for 30-something years. They felt safe. I'm the #1 daycare center around, I believe. I want to keep it that way. Your fire inspector, unreal. He needs to go. He needs to go today. He needs to be fired, not 60 days, okay? He shouldn't be with a pay, okay?
Thank you,
I'm
Gwen.
sure you would agree, Mr. Klein and the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. Now, is there anybody else that wants to speak?
Rudy said I had 31 seconds left. It'll take me
Anybody
5
else that wants to
seconds.
speak?
The black and Hispanic kids in the East Ramapo School District, their futures are being destroyed. That's racism and bigotry. Our next supervisor.
My name's Mike Parietti, 6 Spook Rock Road, Suffern, New York. Chris, it's been a long road, hasn't it? And if you knew what was good for you, you would resign. But of course, you don't know what's good for you. All right, Chris? And you know and I know that you're unfit for public office, okay? You're too impulsive, okay? You don't have any discipline. You're very vindictive, okay? And you make poor decisions. Okay, but the only reason you're sitting there is because you were able to convince a small circle of men who run the Hasidic community that you would do whatever they told you to do, no matter how wrong, no matter how despicable, no matter how much it would hurt the town or your own people. Okay? That's why you're sitting there, Chris, okay? And you gave them just what they wanted, right? You gave them more than their fair share of tax exemptions. You gave them the vast majority of the nonprofit allocations. You gave them control of the zoning board, okay, and on and on and on. It's a double standard around Poe, and you created it, all right? And Chris, you gave them whatever they wanted, and you know what they gave you, Chris? They gave you all the rope you needed to hang yourself, all right? And you went right out and did it. And you know,
how much time, Chris?
You don't like the truth.
There's a minute 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Chris, they say they support you. They don't support you, Chris. They're using you. They're using you. And when they get done with you, they'll discard you like a piece of tissue, and they'll get another stooge. Chris, if you knew what was good for yourself, you'd resign before you dig your hole any deeper. And I'll say to the board, Pat, Brendel, and Yitzi, are you going to sit there and let this guy continue as the chairman of the RLDC with his girlfriend as the executive director of whatever it is? Now, if that is not a complete mockery of our system, you recently voted to give the guy 25 acres so that he could build a hotel. Now, what do you think he's going to do with a vacant hotel? All right? You got to vote. If you don't vote him off as the president of the RLDC, then you are part of this whole farce, and you're not functioning in any way that's going to help the town. We know that the longer he stays on the board, the lower our bond rating is going to go. It's going to go down and down, and it's going to cost us more and more money. So show us who you are. Are you going to step up to the plate and do the right thing and remove him from the RLDC or not? That will be the litmus test. And to you, Mr. Klein, I have to say, after all these years...
Your time is up.
For you to facilitate all of this is really unbelievably despicable.
Thank you, Michael.
I'd like a little respect. My name is Barbara Wilson. I live in Suffern, New York. I've lived here all my life. My mother lives here all her life. We go back to the 1700s in this county. I always respected people like you, always. I loved this town. I grew up here. I cannot believe what you did. I mean, years ago, I did respect you. Why would you do something like that? I'm just going to ask you straight out. Why would you do that? If we said we didn't want a baseball stadium, why did we get a baseball stadium? Because you wanted it. So you used our money to get it. Who said you could do that? Really? Nothing?
Go ahead, Barbara.
I am just so, I don't trust any of you. I don't trust any politicians anymore because of you, which I used to have respect for. I just don't understand how this happened. What happened to you? What got in your head that you think you could just take our money and build a baseball stadium? Why don't you do what other people do, like I told you last week? Buy season tickets to the Yankees or something. Why did you have to friggin' build a stadium? Nobody wanted it. It's not making any money. Nobody goes to it. I am really... I just, you know what? And these people are the rudest people. And I don't have a prejudiced bone in my body, not one. And I grew up with Hasidic people and blacks, Asians, whatever. I don't have a prejudiced bone in my body, but these people are rude. They have no respect for women, and you did that. You did that because there's not a person in this county that doesn't know that you're an ass kisser when it comes to the Hasidics. We all know it. Why didn't you, that's what this is about. They have no respect because of you. And where are their women? They're home with the kids so they can get burnt up. You give that guy 6 months? 6 months? Are you kidding me? He should be fired. You know how many people could have died in fires because he wanted a little extra cash? I just, you're just sitting there staring at me like, I don't care. You don't care, do you?
Go ahead, Barbara. You have...
Do you care? Do you care about anything? All these people, do you have any dignity left?
Let Barbara speak. Go ahead.
There is going to be no votes anymore, believe me. And you cannot bust people out from Brooklyn up here anymore either. Like, we don't know. We know what you did. And how many favors do you owe them? You know what you are, and I'm sorry, excuse me, but you're an ass kisser.
Okay.
4 more years in jail.
Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is James Ambrosio, 4 Steinway Court, Wesley Hills.
Thank you.
Ma'am and gentlemen, my wife and I are shocked. We just moved here a couple of years ago. And one of the reasons, may I speak, please? And one of the reasons why we moved here is because it's a diverse community. My wife and I are an interracial marriage. We have spent our entire lives traveling around the world. We know people all over the world, of all religions and all colors, and we prefer to live in diversity. What is this disaster? How did this crap happen? Mr. St. Lawrence, I don't know you, and I'm not going to attack you because I don't believe in attacking someone based on what I read. I will attack someone or I will disagree on someone based on what I experience. But I have to say, Mr. St. Lawrence, you heard from a resident whose family line has been here for hundreds of years. Now you're hearing from somebody for 3 years. With all due respect, sir, I have not heard one good thing about you since we moved here. This, please.
Let Mr. Ambrosio talk.
This disaster has occurred because something's happened in the leadership. And I don't know what it is, but only the leadership can fix it. I live on a beautiful, quiet street with trees. My neighbors are Jewish. Lovely people. Within 72 hours of moving there, they all introduced themselves to us. I love hearing their children play outside, because you never hear kids play outside anymore. And I enjoy it. They wave to me every afternoon when I come home. I really love where we live. You guys have got to tell me what the hell has happened. And what are you going to do to mend all these fences? And to you, Mr. Attorney, I own apartment buildings in New Jersey. I deal with building inspectors all day long. State, city, electric, plumbing, fire. The purpose of a building inspector is to protect the public, the entire public, regardless of color, regardless of race. When an inspector does not fulfill that duty, he puts that public at risk. You need to go back and take a look at that, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. All right, a motion to close the public participation. Moved by? Did you want to speak, sir? Robert, you want to speak? Come right.
Robert Romanowski, 183 Maple Avenue, Muncie. Prior to your recent legal problems, Mr. Supervisor, you were the chairman of the Solid Waste Management Authority and the Sewer Commission, and upon influence of our county executive, Ed Day, you stepped down from both of those positions. You're also the chairman of the Ramapo Local Development Corporation, and I believe you should step down from that position too. As chairman of the Ramapo Local Development Corporation, you serve that office at the pleasure of the town board. So I'm calling on the 3 town board members now, Mr. Ullman, Mrs. Charles, and Mr. Withers, to vote to remove the supervisor as chairman of the Ramapo Local Development Corporation and have a complete forensic audit of the RLDC's finances so we know exactly what's going on with this. I know, Mr. Ullman, you said you want to have an investigation of the police chief. I believe you also should have an investigation of the supervisor in his role as chairman of the Ramapo Local Development Corporation. In 2013, also, there's a report from the controller which said that we found that the board has not exercised effective oversight of the town. Town board members told us they received no financial reports, such as detailed project costs, reports for town projects, budget versus actual reports, and generally did not receive or review contracts. Additionally, board members told us that they did not know how much the stadium would cost the taxpayers or how it would be paid for. In his press conference, Preet Bharara, who is a very intelligent man, used the terms, "he cooked the books." What I want to ask Mr. Ullman, Mrs. Charles and Mr. Withers, where were you when he was cooking the books? You're supposed to provide proper oversight.
Thank you, Robert.
And I want you to look at that, and I feel that you are responsible too, because it's your job to provide effective oversight. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, a motion to close, this lady, and then we'll close the public participation.
Hi, my name is Virginia Rourke. I live at 38 Cragmere.
I'm sorry.
Virginia Rourke at 38 Cragmere in Airmont. I want to say a couple of things, and it's probably not organized, but number one, I've been 50 years in the county. I grew up at 20 Brook Court, Muncie, New York. I got married at Kearsing Parkway, Muncie, New York. Moved to Suffern, because as a kid at East Ramapo, I always thought Suffern had such respectable and wonderful people. Mr. St. Lawrence, my children went to school with your kids, and you used to walk into a school and everybody applauded you. Mr. Withers, I knew you when you were involved in Suffern with the Chambers. Again, respectable. And Mr. Klein, I know you as well because I'm a real estate agent. And I have to tell you, I get phone calls on a regular basis of people who say, I don't want to live in town of Ramapo. That makes me sad, because my children, I want them to stay here. I, like everybody else in this room, would like my children to afford to come here and live. I can tell you, you need to look at your tax structure. It's amazing that in a market that went up 3%, we are seeing 10% in our tax increase. There are things you need to look at, and unfortunately, I can't tell these people they're wrong. And they'll say to me, I don't want anything to do with town of Ramapo. 2 school districts, they still want nothing to do here. And that's all because of all that's going on. And it disgraces me that I have to tell my children, it's really okay. I want to die in Suffern. I want to be here forever. Please clean it up.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for Virginia.
William Weber, 16 Rose Hill Road, Montebello. Mr. Supervisor, I know you're a history buff on your radio show I listen to. 42 years ago today, this August, the nation was in crisis. Richard Nixon was in office. He was accused of high crimes and misdemeanors, as well as a lot of people in his administration. They had been fired, people had resigned, people had gone to jail. It took elder statesmen in the Senate and Congress to go to this president and said, the nation is no longer with you, you need to resign. We need that elder statesman to come forward today in Rockland County. We've heard some of the leaders in the Rockland County Democratic, Republican parties, and independent parties calling on you to resign. I think you need to heed their call, because it's in the best interest of the town of Ramapo for you to go, and for other resignations within your administration to happen also. The town cannot effectively move forward with you guys still in office, because there's always going to be a cloud of mistrust. The SEC has made it very clear that they want very strict oversight with any new bond issues in the town. People in the town of Ramapo right now don't trust where their tax dollars are being spent. They hear it's being illegally moved from one fund to the other. It was always rumored. Preet Bharara, who is a rock star and who's probably the LeBron James in terms of sports analogies. He's got a winning record. He's put Sheldon Silver in jail. He's put Dean Skelos in jail. He's got a very good track record. So the point is that the town cannot move effectively forward while there's a cancer still within the office. And I think that the cancer needs to be removed, and we need to move this town forward. I still think the town of Ramapo, I think the town of Ramapo's best days are ahead of us, but we need to have these changes to be done effective immediately. You know, Harry Truman once said, the buck stops here. What say you?
Okay, seeing no hands, a motion to close the public participation. Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. You wanted to speak, sir? You wanted to speak?
I'm going to use something you know well, baseball.
If you're on a team,
Please state your name and address.
excuse me,
Your name and address, please.
AKA Jersey Bird, resident of Ramapo. If you're on a baseball team and you do something bad, what happens? The umpire kicks you out. I wish the town board were umpires. Kick him out. If he was on your team, what would you do? Have a blanket party in the dugout. You know? He got to go. 80% of these people voted the baseball out. But it's there. So grab your baseballs, reach down, grab your baseballs, get him out. 3 strikes, he's out.
Thank you. Okay, now a motion to close the public participation. Councilman Ullman, second by Councilman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. That concludes our business this evening. A motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you.